And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Experience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans. I'm Michael. As always, this is serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans, and of course, trying to get Twitch to work. I love how this is live, and it's not showing it as live. Come on, Twitch. You can do the thing. But, yeah, welcome to a special episode here on the Experience Hockey Talk, where we do our 2000... let me fix my shirt, you know. It'll look good for the camera, somehow. But, it still doesn't look good over here. But, you know, it's, the NHL Playoff Preview. Playoffs start tomorrow night. Of course, we're starting it off with a slobber knocker of a matchup between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins right off the bat. And let me see if I can get Twitch working. Nobody's watching, so why not? No, there we go. Now we're there. Alright, now I have my chat room up and running. There we go. So, I decided I couldn't get any guests on. Russell from Full Tilt can't be on. George Fasikas from Nova Caps can't be on. So, a lot of the normals that you would hear on the show are not available, unfortunately. So, riding solo. I was trying to think of of a good, interesting way to do this preview compared to other years when we just go over the playoff series. So, right here, right now, we're actually going to look at... Actually, I went by scores. So there we go. We're actually going to do it via the NHL Stanley Cup Playoff Bracket Challenge. I, for one, am not a fan of these brackets and bracket challenges. I think they're stupid, but it's going to help me remember all the series that we have, and it'll be an interesting way of doing this. So, without further ado, we're going to start with the West and work our way to the East. I guess I'll have to do second round. Probably not. So, starting off in the Western Conference, you have the President's Trophy winning Nashville Predators versus the last wild card spot for the Western Conference, the Colorado Avalanche. Nashville has been consistent, definitely picking up their game after especially after where they left off last season, being 2 games away from winning the Stanley Cup against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Nashville probably has one of the best defenses, especially the fact that if you look at it, the beginning of the season, the first half of the season, they did not have guys like Ryan Ellis in the lineup, and to be able to get him in midway through the season, get him in good form going into the playoffs, that only helps Nashville, especially the fact that they got Mike Fisher back from retirement. That right there acts like a great trade deadline acquisition without having to give up any pieces to your roster, and Mike Fisher, of course, very well accustomed to this Nashville team. For Colorado, I think, it's an interesting fact that, it's Nashville and Colorado against each other. These are 2 of the 3 teams that were involved in that Matt Duchene trade that sent Duchene to Ottawa. Kyle Turris from Ottawa to Nashville, and Colorado picking up a bunch of young kids and prospects and draft picks. These are the 2 teams that essentially won this trade at the beginning of the season. And Colorado, in the playoffs. Nashville in the playoffs. Matt Duchene, the Ottawa Senators, not in the playoffs. So that kind of backfired on Matt Duchene on that one right there. So when you look at this, Colorado made it in on the last day of the regular season for them by beating out St. Louis, where it was one of those, if St. Louis won, they're in, but if Colorado won the game against the Blues, they were in. Colorado was able to get the victory and the playoff spot against Nashville. I'm going to be brutally honest here. I don't see Colorado faring very well against Nashville. I think Nashville wins this series. And what's this? Oh, there you go. You got a little breakdown. Nice. So, the little breakdown. This is actually really cool. I'm actually now glad I'm doing the bracket challenge on here because it breaks everything down for me. When you look at it like this, goals per game, Colorado averages 3.11 and Nashville averages 3.18. Goals against, Colorado averages 2.88 and Nashville averages 2.49. On the power play, surprisingly, Colorado is better with a 21.9 percentage, whereas Nashville has a 21.2. And on the penalty kill, also, Colorado has a better percentage at 83.3 to Nashville's 81.9. Nashville is better in the faceoff circle with a 53.3 faceoff winning percentage this season. So when you look at it from statistical perspective, Nashville is better in goals against, faceoff percentages. Whereas when it comes to special teams, though, Colorado is actually a much better team than the Nashville Predators. So Colorado, they do have a chance in this thing, but I don't see them going far against Nashville. I do have the Nashville Predators winning that one. If not in 4, then I see them winning it in 5. Now, moving on to our next series, you have the Winnipeg Jets versus the Minnesota Wild. The Jets, the number 2 seed in the Central Division, with Minnesota being the number 3 seed in this one. This has a massive statistical edge to the Winnipeg Jets, and not just statistically, but also on special teams. When it comes to goals per game, Winnipeg is averaging 3.33 to Minnesota's 3.05. Goals against average, Minnesota's averaging 2.79 compared to Winnipeg's 2.63. And a big contribution to that is the play of Connor Hellebuck for the Winnipeg Jets. On face-off percentage, Minnesota's averaging 49.8, whereas Winnipeg is averaging 52.4 winning percentage in the face-off circle. And then on the special teams, you have on the power play, Winnipeg at 23.4% to Minnesota's 20.4%, and on the penalty kill, Winnipeg narrowly edges Minnesota with an 81.8 percentage to Minnesota's 81.3. So they're relatively closer on the penalty kill, but the power play is much more deadlier on the Winnipeg Jets side of things. For the Jets, also, if you look at what they were able to pick up at the trade deadline, they were able to pick up Paul Stastny. Paul Stastny has proven that this guy was the right pickup for the Winnipeg Jets. He plays the right style for them. He has fit in very well, and he can be a key contributor for the Winnipeg Jets to move on to the next round, which would then, that would put them against the Nashville Predators. I personally, knowing also Bruce Boudreau's history in playoffs, he's not as good as everyone. I mean, he's a great regular season coach. He's not a good postseason coach, and that's something that's going to hurt. That's something that's going to hurt Boudreau if he can't get himself over that mental hurdle. And he's got good players. He's got a guy like Eric Stahl, who's won a Stanley Cup. You know, Zach Parise, if healthy, is going to be good for the Minnesota Wild, and same thing with Ryan Suter. So you got to look, and Jared Spurgeon, too. These are guys, if they're healthy, that's going to play a factor for Minnesota, but, you got to see how it is. Personally, my pick, I got the Winnipeg Jets winning I got them winning that one in 6. I think they'll win that one in 6. All right, I'm going to skip a series and then move down to one. And I'm going to touch the Anaheim Ducks versus the San Jose Sharks. This one's an interesting one. I can personally see this going either way. Which is really funny because according to the NHL, the Ducks have the statistical edge, where realistically, it's kind of even. When it comes to goals per game, San Jose is averaging 3.01 per game, whereas Anaheim is averaging 2.82. But when it comes to goals against, Anaheim averages 2.55 goals against per game, and San Jose averages 2.76. However, when it comes to the power play, though, San Jose is 20.6% on the power play compared to Anaheim's 17.8%. And on the penalty kill, San Jose is 84.8% to Anaheim's 83.2%. Sorry about that. So, when you look at it on the special teams, that is definitely San Jose's forte right there. And that is something that Anaheim, especially on the power, if they're going to be on the penalty kill against San Jose, they got to be careful. Because if they give San Jose too many power play opportunities, then San Jose is going to win this series. Because Anaheim, if they get power play opportunities, their power play is not as good. San Jose's penalty kill is better than Anaheim's. So you got at this weird factor. Face-off winning percentage, Anaheim is 51.3% to San Jose's 51.2%. So that's kind of a wash. So in my view, I actually see the San Jose Sharks having the actual edge in this series. So I see San Jose winning that series. I could see that going to 7 games, to be brutally honest with you. I see San Jose in 7 in that one. Which then leads us to the massive wild card matchup, which is the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Los Angeles Kings. The first season, Vegas Golden Knights, they're first in the Pacific Division, playing the first wild card spot, LA Kings. This season, the Vegas Golden Knights averaged 3.27 goals per game to LA's 2.89. When it comes to goals against, LA averages a 2.46 to Vegas's 2.74. And then on the power play, Vegas was 21.4% this season on the power play compared to LA's 20.4%. And on the penalty kill, LA definitely much better on the penalty kill than Vegas, with an 85% penalty kill compared to Vegas's 81.4%. And then when it comes to face-off winning percentage, Vegas had a 48.9%, but LA had 49.7%. Now, here's the ultimate thing to this matchup. LA has won 2 cups. You have guys like Jeff Carter, who's now healthy and playing top-notch hockey. You have Anze Kopitar, who's back to regular form. You have Dustin Brown, who's now playing like the man that they signed that massive contract to. They still have a lot. Jonathan Quick, still one of the best goaltenders in the league. You see that this team still has a lot of that edge from those 2 cup-winning teams, especially like a defenseman like Drew Doughty, one of the best defensemen in the league, and should always be up for the Norris Trophy, unlike Erik Karlsson, who's a forward who plays defense. I get to go on that tangent later on in the summer when the awards are announced. And so, when you look at it, LA has that experience factor of winning the cups. Whereas Vegas is, it's the land of misfit toys. It's the team where, they have somebody from all the other teams. You have James Neal, who last season was in the Stanley Cup Finals with Nashville but lost. A lot of playoff experience with the Pittsburgh Penguins. You have David Perron, who has lots of playoff experience with St. Louis. So, you have guys on that team. Marc-Andre Fleury, 3 Stanley Cups, all with Pittsburgh. So you have guys who have playoff experience. You have Fleury, who's won 3 cups. So it'll be really interesting. Honestly, the number one thing is that you got this 85% penalty killing unit in the LA Kings. While Vegas's power play is good, you got to give the edge to LA. They have a much better, penalty. That's really good penalty kill, and it's actually the best penalty kill in the entire Western Conference. In these playoffs. So you got to look at it from that perspective. Plus the fact that LA is a little bit better in the face-off circle. Combine that with their penalty killing. They could defensively shut down the Vegas Golden Knights. So, but at the same time, Vegas also has this in their favor, and that is home ice. If it goes to 7 games, they get 4 games at home. And something that, we talked about on this show before in the past, and Dix and I talked about it, and so did Shaggy and I talked about it when we saw Vegas live in person at the Capital One Arena, was that, when teams are going into Vegas, It's a completely different culture out there, and it throws teams off guard. Now, LA has played more games in Vegas than some other teams have, especially teams in the East. So for LA, they've gotten accustomed to it, and they're going to get accustomed to it real quickly. Key thing is this, though. If Vegas wins the first 2 games of this series at home, they got to win the third one or the fourth one in LA to guarantee themselves that they're going to win this series, because LA is a team that I can see making one of those comebacks and taking out the Vegas Golden Knights in 7 if that's the case. So to me, this is my coin flip one. It's a good dilemma to have. It really is a good dilemma to have something like this when it comes to Vegas and LA. And I see Dixon says he has Winnipeg in 5. And I'm interested to see what he says about the Vegas LA series. So I'm gonna say Vegas in 7. I can't see him sweeping a series. I really can't. So I'm going to say Vegas in 7. They're going to take on the Sharks in the second round. Now with that, because we're doing the bracket challenge, we might as well work on the second round. So now I have Nashville versus Winnipeg and Vegas versus St. Louis. Kendrick said I was tossing on Vegas in 6 or 7. So okay, we're about the same then. We're about the same. That's okay. So Nashville versus Winnipeg, that's what I have in the second round. Let's look at how they statistically break down against each other. So in this one, Winnipeg is better in the goals per game average of 3.33 goals per game to Nashville's 3.18. Goals against, though, is 2.49 for Nashville per game to 2.63 for Winnipeg. Winnipeg has the better power play at 23.4 to Nashville's 21.2%. On the penalty kill, it's a 0.1 differential, 81.9% for Nashville and 81.8% for Winnipeg. And the face-off winning percentage, 53.3% for Nashville, 52.4% for the Jets. Jets having averaging more goals per game and better on the power play than Nashville, but Nashville has, let's just put it like this. Nashville and Winnipeg have an even power play. We're talking about a 0.1% difference between 2 penalty kills. So when you look at it, it could be a very even matchup, essentially on specialty teams, but you get the slight edge to Winnipeg because they have a better power play going into this. But at the same time, we're also looking ahead. This is a bracket challenge. I'm not a fan of this because I don't like to preview second rounds before the second round even gets here. I think that's kind of stupid. But, so, when you look at it, I could see why Nashville has the edge. And honestly, I think Nashville is going back to the finals again, the Stanley Cup finals. So I will say Nashville does defeat the Winnipeg Jets in the second round to make it to the conference finals, where they will face either Vegas or San Jose. And looking at it, this one is a massive edge for Vegas, with the exception of 2 categories. So goals per game, Vegas is 3.27 per game to San Jose's 3.01. Goals against, 2.74 per game for Vegas to San Jose's 2.76. On the power play, Vegas is 21.4% to San Jose's 20.6%. But on the penalty kill, San Jose is 84.8% to Vegas's 81.4%, and the face-off winning percentage is 51.2% to Vegas's 48.9%. And again, this is one where, yes, the goals for and the goals against are in the favor of Vegas, and they have a better power play again. But again, it's penalty kill and it's face-off winning percentage. Those are going to probably be the biggest key for the San Jose Sharks. Again, Vegas will have home ice again, so they'll have that advantage. But at the same time, San Jose, just like the LA Kings, is a team that has gone over to Vegas enough times now to learn that culture and not be as shocked by it like a team in the Eastern Conference would be if Vegas made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. So, with that. It's another toss-up here for me, but I don't see Vegas making it out. I mean, realistically, I don't really see them making out of the first round because they're gonna hit the same problem with the San Jose Sharks as they're gonna hit with the LA Kings. So it's kind of one of those things, if they're able to adapt and change how they play a little bit to get through Los Angeles, I can see them getting through San Jose. But at the same time, what's the physical toll from an LA series is going to take on Vegas? And San Jose, with the additions of like Evander Kane, has been working very well for them. Who knows if Joe Thornton returns for them? That's always a big question mark, and the impact that he could have on the Sharks. Logan Couture is playing very well, and Martin Jones is playing very well in that. So it's very interesting. But for the sake of playing devil's advocate, though, because it'll make Gary happy, I got Vegas going to the conference finals against the Nashville Predators, but I've already said it, that I have Nashville winning, going to the Stanley Cup finals anyways. They're the best freaking team in the league, and I legitimately see them as the team going in. Damn. I legitimately see them going to the Stanley Cup finals for a second year in a row. But just for the sake of looking at stats, it's kind of the same deal. Vegas has the goals per game. The other team has the goal. Nashville has goals against per game better. Vegas has a better power play by 0.2%. And Nashville has a better power play by 0.5%. And they have a better face-off winning percentage with 53.3% to Vegas' 48.9%. So it comes down to this thing with Vegas, that if they were to even try to get to the Stanley Cup Finals, they'd have to go through three teams, in my opinion, that are both better on the penalty kill and are better on the face-off dot. And guess what? The face-off dot is the number one. Because if you ain't good in the face-off dot, you aren't gaining possession of the puck. And if you ain't gaining possession of the puck, you're not getting the puck in the zone. And if you're not getting the puck in the zone, you aren't scoring. You aren't creating chances in their zone. And you need puck possession to do that. I don't see Vegas realistically getting through this, but for the sake of the bracket challenge, which, whatever, I'm doing Vegas, looking at stats and stuff like that. So Nashville, I have them going to the Stanley Cup Finals for the Western Conference for a second year in a row. All right, I'm going to respond to a text just for fun. I just texted Shaggy saying, he asked me, when was TXHT going live? We've been live for 24 minutes. So, but it's okay because now we're moving on to the Eastern Conference. And of course, we're going to do the Capitals last because that's the one I have the most to talk about. So, going into the first round matchup, you have the Eastern Conference champion Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the last wild card New Jersey Devils. And this, I'm going to be brutally honest, this is going to be a rout. Tampa Bay, unless they have a massive breakdown against New Jersey, which I don't think we're going to see, they're going to rout New Jersey. The only thing New Jersey's better at is on the penalty kill. New Jersey is 81.8% on the penalty kill compared to Tampa Bay's 76.1%. Goals forward, 33.54 to 2.96 in favor of Tampa. Goals against, 2.85 to 2.93 in favor of Tampa. The power play is 23.9% to 21.4% in favor of Tampa. Face-off winning percentage is 48.2% to 47% even in favor of Tampa Bay. The only thing New Jersey has is the penalty kill. How they have a better penalty kill than Tampa Bay, beyond me, especially the fact that they have a defense that is mostly full of minor leaguers and guys who would be seventh defensemen on regular teams, with the exception of Damon Severson and Will Butcher, who are young up-and-coming kids. And so with that, I'm just going to throw it out there. Tampa's going to, if not in 4, they're going to win in 5. So next up, personally, and I meant to say this on the West, Winnipeg versus Minnesota, I think, will be the best series of the Western Conference on the first round. Hands down, I think it will be. Vegas, Los Angeles will be the second best series in the West. For the East, in my opinion, yes, we're getting Pittsburgh, Philly, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but we're getting Boston versus Toronto. We're getting 2 original 6 teams, and I am excited for that. That is going to be possibly the best series in the East, outside of Philly, Pittsburgh. Boston, obviously, second place in the Atlantic Division. Toronto, third place. This is possibly one of the more even matchups, even though for some reason the NHL says Boston has the edge. I don't agree with that. So, for goals per game, Toronto averages 3.29 per game to Boston's 3.23. Goals against, Toronto has 2.80, but Boston gives up 2.52 goals against per game. On the power play, Toronto's 25% to Boston's 23.5%. On the penalty kill, Boston is 83.5% to Toronto's 81.4%. And in face-off winning percentage, Toronto is 51.8% to Boston's 50.6%. This, Toronto has an edge in face-offs, but Boston has an edge in penalty killing. Toronto has the edge in power play. Combine the power play with your face-off winning percentage, that could really help the Toronto Maple Leafs. But at the same time, better penalty kill, lower goals against for Boston. So this is like one of the, this in my opinion will be going 7 games guaranteed between Boston and Toronto. It'll be the most exciting series in the Eastern Conference, if not the entire first round, in my personal opinion. This one, it's a coin flip for me, man. I don't know who's going to win. But in all honesty, if I think anyone's going to win, I think it could be Toronto stealing this one from the Boston Bruins in Game 7. And that's just my humble opinion. I think Toronto, they've had a really good season. And I think they can knock out Boston in 7. All right, moving on. The Pittsburgh versus Philly. All right, this one, the NHL, surprise, surprise, giving the statistical edge to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And rightfully so, in a way. Goals per game, Pittsburgh averages 3.29. To Philadelphia's 3.04. If you look at the Flyers' goals per game against the Capitals, it's about 6.0 something. Just throwing that out there, Cavs fan, because one of these two teams the Cavs could be facing in the second round. Dixon said, "I want Toronto in 6. Your dad is gonna love this one with Pittsburgh and Philly, of course. Anybody who gets the chance to beat the crap out of Pittsburgh is gonna be happy." However, goals against, Philly does 2.88 goals against per game. Pittsburgh does 3.02 on the power play. Pittsburgh much better than the Philadelphia Flyers with a 26.2 percentage on the power play compared to Philly's 20.7%. And then on the penalty kill, Pittsburgh is 80% even to Philadelphia's 75.8%. And on face-offs, winning percentage, Philadelphia 53.3% to Pittsburgh's 50.2%. I can see where the statistical edge comes in, especially on the side of Pittsburgh, because special teams alone can win this series for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a much more dominant power play and a much more dominant penalty kill than the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, we did see the Flyers power play wake up in the last game of the regular season and for against the New York Rangers. So could that have an effect on how the Philadelphia Flyers play, especially on special teams going into the playoffs. Only time will tell. But one key thing that needs to be talked about here, one key thing that really needs to be talked about here is the fact that Pittsburgh, everyone picked to be the first overall team, the number one team in the Metro Division. It ended up being the Capitals, who exceeded expectations this season, at least for the regular season, because I had him as a wild card. So for the so for Pittsburgh, one of the biggest things about them this season is they've been so up and down like this all season long. Plus, not only that, but they really don't have a good number 2 option behind Matt Murray. Matt Murray has been injured enough times this season to make you wonder, are the Pittsburgh Penguins actually legitimately going to be able to make it out of the first round? Because if Matt Murray goes down due to injury, Pittsburgh is done. I don't see their backup goaltending or their third string goaltender, which I think the third stringer is Tristan Jarry. I don't know who the backup goalie is for Pittsburgh. But, Pittsburgh could be in some serious trouble. And I don't think they're really going to, unless, like I said, the power play and the penalty kill really take over this series, I don't see Pittsburgh winning. And in all honesty, I realistically don't see Pittsburgh winning this series. Because you also got to deal with the fact that Derek Brassard's injured, and if he comes back now, he's probably not going to be fully healthy for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I got Pittsburgh winning that series, or Philadelphia winning that series. I'll probably say in 6. And now it is time for the Washington Capitals versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. The one that this area is excited for, and that Shaggy and I will be at live for Game 1 on Thursday. So the only thing that Columbus has over the Capitals is goals against. Goals against is 2.76 to the Capitals' 2.9 goals against. So slight edge. Goals per game, though, the Capitals score 3.12 per game, whereas Columbus scores 2.88. Capitals power play is much better than Columbus's at 22.5% to 17.2%. The penalty kill is much better as well at 80.3% to 76.2%. And the Capitals have a slightly better face-off winning percentage at 50.4 to 48.4% on the face-off circle. And it was just announced today that Philip Grubauer is going to start Game 1 for the Washington Capitals against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So it will be very interesting to see. Grubauer has been playing much better the second half of the season after having a very rocky first half to the season. Holtby got a little shaky in the middle, had trouble trying to shake it off on the long stretch heading in, which led to Grubauer getting more starts. I like the fact that Philip Grubauer is starting in net. Pittsburgh backup is DeSmith, by the way. Whoever DeSmith is, okay. Good for Pittsburgh. So you have this where, you have Grubauer who's really stepped up during the times of Holtby's struggles. And Grubauer, I think, will do a very good job in between the pipes. One thing to look into also, and something that a lot of people need to remember, this is Columbus's 4th time in the playoffs. The last 2 years they faced Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's in their head. Pittsburgh's in Washington's head. This is a chance for Columbus to start anew in the playoffs. They've only won 3 games in the 3 years that they've been in the playoffs. This could be, and I'm saying this in a way to scare people, because it's true, this could be Columbus's coming out party in the playoffs. It really can. You have John Tortorella, who is an amazing coach. He's won a Stanley Cup with Tampa Bay back in 2004. You have young, great defensemen like Zach Werenski and Seth Jones, along with another great defenseman in Ryan Murray and Jack Johnson. You have amazing forwards like Artemi Panarin, Alexander Wenberg, Cam Atkinson. So, there's a lot of great talent on this Columbus Blue Jackets team. And, of course, now this is also a chance for Sergei Bobrovsky to really turn the corner for himself, in the playoffs after having the massive struggles that he has had with Columbus. So, this could, in theory, be a coming out party for Columbus. And I seriously think that if it is, and the Capitals can't win both games at home before going to Columbus, this could be a lost series for the Washington Capitals. And I'm saying that legitimately. Because there comes a point when a team like Columbus, who has struggled in the playoffs, finally figure it out. This year may not be the year. This year may be the year. But if I'm a Washington Capitals fan, I'd be scared. Because if they have their coming out party now, the Caps aren't going to the second round. It'll be Columbus. So, but looking on the Washington Capitals side of things, the Capitals are in this playoffs, though, with not much high expectations. They're not expected to win the Cup. People are predicting that they'll at least make it out of the first round to get to the second round. They get knocked out again by Pittsburgh. But the pressure isn't there. And if you're a Columbus Blue Jackets fan, that should scare the holy hell out of you. Because your team may be having their coming out party now this year. Maybe. Depending on how things go. But at the same time, the Washington Capitals could be playing much better hockey because of the fact that they know that the expectations of them winning the Stanley Cup are not there. Personally, would I love to see the Caps win the Stanley Cup? Yes. Do I think they're going to do it? No. But that's because I'm realistic. And I look at what's else in the field. And I look at who the Caps may have to face. I have the Capitals beating Columbus to get to the second round. But they aren't beating Philadelphia. Which leads me into the second round now. Washington versus Philly. I'll talk about Tampa Bay, Toronto in a little bit. Philadelphia this season has wiped the freaking floor with the Washington Capitals. That is a fact. That should scare Washington Capitals fans. As I say this wearing a Caps hat and having Caps tattoos. Anyways, that fact should scare Washington Capitals fans. Because for the Washington Capitals, yes, regular season is one thing, playoffs is another. But if the Caps expect to beat Philadelphia, they have to take what happened to them in the regular season and get it completely out of their head. Because it's like that one thing I said about Columbus and Pittsburgh. Columbus has Pittsburgh in their head just like the way the Capitals have Pittsburgh in their head. If the Flyers are already in the head of the Washington Capitals going into the second round because of what happened this regular season, Capitals aren't going to beat Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. They aren't. So, and for Philadelphia, they, just like Pittsburgh, they've been very up and down. They got their spot, in that top wild card spot, in their last game of the regular season. And also because of luck, because of how New Jersey, in a way, kind of maybe possibly tanked against the Capitals in the last game of the regular season. Plus with how Columbus kind of lost to end up getting into... Philadelphia gets the third spot, my bad. So Philadelphia gets the third spot because Columbus didn't win their last game. So they fall down to the first wild card spot. And New Jersey kind of goes, well, I want to go to the Atlantic Division, which is suicide. If you got to get through Tampa Bay, you have to either get through Toronto or Boston next. Good luck with that. It ain't going to happen. I already have the New Jersey Devils out in the first round anyways, the Tampa Bay. But You know, so it's like the Flyers could have been a first round matchup for the Capitals, and if that was the case, I don't see the Caps making it to the first round. I see the Caps making the second round because they're playing Columbus. And I'm calling it how I see it on that. People don't like it. Too bad. Now, before I give a prediction on Caps Flyers, I'm going to talk about Tampa Bay Toronto. And in this one, surprisingly, Toronto has the edge over Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has an edge in goals for with 3.54 to 3.29. However, when it comes to goals against, Toronto has 2.80 to Tampa Bay's 2.85. On the power play, Toronto's 25% to Tampa Bay's 23.9. About 1.1% difference. Penalty kill is 81.4% in favor of Toronto to Tampa Bay's 76.1. Not as good for Tampa Bay. Face-off winning percentage is 51.8 for Toronto and 48.2 for Tampa Bay. Realistically, I see Tampa Bay beating whoever they face in the second round. But looking at these type of stats, Toronto has the special teams on their side. They're a better face-off team than Tampa Bay. The only thing that Tampa Bay can do better than Toronto is scoring goals. And if Toronto can shut down Tampa Bay scoring goals, Toronto would then move on to the conference finals, in my opinion. But with the depth of the Tampa Bay Lightning defenses, well, yes, Dan Girardi, Ryan McDonough, they're slower defensemen, but they're sturdy defensemen. And they're going to be the type of guys who are going to go out against Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and William Nylander all the time. And it's going to make it tough for Toronto. Despite Toronto having a better edge on the special teams, I'd see Tampa Bay winning this one and moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. What about that Caps Flyers series? Well, besides the fact that I'm probably going to get thrown out the window by my father, who's a Flyers fan, it's a tough series. It really is. I don't like the Capitals odds against Philly personally. But stranger things have happened. The Capitals are a little bit better against the Flyers in the playoffs than they are against the Penguins, which, as Shaggy sent me in a text message earlier today, the Penguins are the Capitals are 1-for-9 against the Pittsburgh Penguins in the playoffs. So I like the odds a little bit better against Philadelphia. So it's a toss-up that I'm going to say. Dixon, feel free to chime in the chat room. It's a toughie. Probably gonna have to say Washington in 7. And if they go 7, they're gonna get really beat up going into the conference finals. So now looking at the conference finals, I now have Tampa Bay versus Washington. Tampa Bay, which is a team that the Capitals can't beat in the playoffs, by the way, too. And this is one where, going into this one, Tampa Bay has the edge. Better goals forward, better goals against, better power play. Capitals have the better penalty kill. Capitals have the better face-off percentage. Oh, wow. Dixon has Washington in 6 over Philly and Toronto over Tampa Bay in 7. That's interesting. That's very interesting and very good. Those are bold predictions, Dixon. I think the Caps have fared pretty well against Tampa. I'd have to go back and look at the schedule. Let's actually go to that said schedule. Tampa Bay. Where's the game against Tampa? Actually, I'm going to do one better. So they lost 4-3 to Tampa one game. Was that overtime or not? And that was in overtime. Lost 4-3 in overtime one game. They lost 8-2 to Philadelphia on October 14th. Let's see here. They won 3-1 against Tampa Bay in November on Black Friday. Let's see here. They beat Columbus 4-3 on December 2nd. In January, they lost 2-1 to Philly, and then they won 5-3 against Philly. Against Columbus, they won 3-2 and 4-2, and lost 5-1 in February. Lost 4-2 to Tampa Bay. And in March, Caps lost 6-3 to Philadelphia. And I think that was it for Tampa. And then, yeah, that was it. So you can kind of tell in a way, albeit the Caps games have been close against Tampa Bay, not so much Philly. We'll see. It's close. It probably can go 7, but realistically, I see Tampa Bay beating the Caps going to the finals. So we have a Tampa Bay Nashville Stanley Cup Finals. Let's see here. Where Nashville has the edge. Well, I mean, it is the top 2 teams in the NHL, so of course, power play is in Tampa Bay's favor, goals forward is in Tampa Bay's favor, goals against is in Nashville's, penalty kills in Nashville's, face-off winning percentage is in Nashville's, and honestly, I think Nashville is just a better team than Tampa Bay. I got the Predators winning the Cup in 2018. Now it's asking me for how many goals are going to be scored in the Stanley Cup Final combined. 15. Okay. So let's see here. They asked me, they want me to do 15. Let's see. Alright, next. Best way to end the series. Alright. So, bonus round. Select the number of games for these matchups. Nashville over Colorado in 5. Tampa Bay over New Jersey in 4. Winnipeg over Minnesota in 6. Toronto over Boston in 7. Vegas over LA in 7. San Jose in 6. Washington in 6. And Philadelphia in 7. I will probably not get any of these correct whatsoever. So what's that? Okay, 1-1-1 against Tampa, 2-1-0 against Toronto, 3-1-0 against Columbus. And the Philadelphia one is probably an ass kicking. And another ass kicking. I know there are 2 ass kickings in there. Your new bracket is now complete. I have read the rules and I submit my bracket. So, if anybody is interested, I wonder if I can share this. Ooh, I can edit it. I feel that. Oh, there we go. There we go. we can get this tweet out to everybody. Hey, yeah, 1-2-1 against Philadelphia. That's not good. All right, I need to find something real quick. Email. Right email. Wrong email. Right email. Where's everything? Real quick, what's the hashtag for the Predators, Dixon? I think it's just Preds. Of course, Dixon, being the good Caps fan that he is, picked the Capitals to win. Let's see here. What's the Predators? Predators is just straight up Preds. There we go. Tweet. All right, so with that, there is the bracket. I got Nashville over Tampa Bay. I really don't think this is actually going to happen. But yeah, so I got Nashville in the first round in 5, Winnipeg in 6, Vegas in 7, San Jose in 6, Tampa Bay in 4, Toronto in 7, Washington in 6, and Philadelphia in 7 for the first round. We will hopefully do a second round preview if time allows it. Knowing how last season they started the second round while there was still a first round going on. That frustrated the hell out of me when that happened. But we will have we will be doing breakdowns this Saturday morning. The Caps will be playing Thursday. We will have exclusive content filmed from Game 1. Shaggy and I will be there at the game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll probably be letting Shaggy take over the Twitter account again like he did for the National Women's Hockey League Isabel Cup Championship game. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Experience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans. Until Saturday at 11 a.m., we will see you on the ice.